What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Triple H podcast. Happy Hour Hoops. Final four. About 5 games left for most teams in the NBA of the regular season. We are in the thick of it as far as basketball goes. Steve, Jake, and myself here for another episode of Happy Hour Hoops presented by Trainwreck Sports. Guys, we got the Final Four this weekend. Shit's popping up in the NBA. We're getting ready for the playoffs. I know you guys are feeling good, but I'm going to ask anyway. How we doing, fellas?
We're doing good. We're doing good. I'm excited. I know a lot of people complain about the tournament being chalky and complaining about NIL and everything. I thought it's been a fun tournament, and we're going to get some of the best matchups. The matchups, if you've been watching college basketball all year long, you've been wanting to see Auburn versus Florida, Duke versus Houston. And on the women's side, too, right? You got UCLA, UConn, you got Texas, South Carolina. These are some great juggernaut matchups. Can't wait for that. And as you said it, Dunny, the best part I think about this college basketball Final Four weekend is once this weekend's over, it's almost NBA playoff time, man. We are right here. It is postseason basketball in full swing, and I'm really excited for the playoffs, especially in the NBA as well, because I think we know the top 2 teams in the East. We've talked about all year long. We know the top team in the West, but after that, man, I feel like it's just roll the dice and hope to get lucky at this point, because my opinion changes on these teams every 2 seconds.
Yeah. And we'll definitely get into that too at the end of the show here.
It was a fun, I have no issue with this Final Four. I have no issue with the Elite Eight we ended up with and everything else. Jay Billis in his article put it very perfectly. We are still trying to get to a national champion here. I feel like people forget the plot of what the NCAA tournament is about, and it's determining the national champion. So you know what? Yes, sometimes, especially when 4 historically efficient teams get together in the tournament, the best teams just get through, and then they run into each other. We've literally only seen it happen one other time. There's no reason at this point, I think, to think the madness is gone forever or anything like that. So I've enjoyed it, and now we get 2 huge heavyweight matchups on Saturday night that I'm sure we're gonna get deep into here later on, and then the NBA world has been plenty interesting. I was very happy with my Cavs last night, fulfilling everything that I've been saying to all my friends, that they'll turn it on when they want to, and then turning it on when they want to in the second half there against the Knicks. So good stuff. But I'm ready for some playoff basketball. Ready for the real season to start here.
Hell yeah. Yeah, my thoughts haven't wavered on the college basketball, the tournament since last week, Jake. Me and you got into the nitty-gritty about how we're not blaming NIL, we're not blaming the transfer portal, we're just enjoying the good basketball that we're being given. And yeah, the Sunday games weren't the best in the Elite Eight, but I mean, what we got on Saturday last weekend was electric, and I think we're getting more of that with this Final Four matchup. I really do. All ones across the board. We're going to get into that in just a little bit, but we start always with the news and notes from the NBA, so let's do it. A lot of guys getting shut down this time of year. The last couple of years, this has become very popular. I get it to a certain degree. Starting with Tyrese Maxey. PG was already shut down. Embiid was already shut down. I mean, I feel like Maxey hasn't been playing for most of the season anyway, but he gets shut down with a finger injury, out for season. Obviously, somehow the 76ers find themselves potentially in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, and that's probably where part of this move is headed, and obviously avoiding massive injury for Tyrese Maxey, just not trying to see a guy get hurt in the last 6 games, but this shit happens. Pelican shut down Zion, CJ McCollum. They're definitely in the race for Cooper Flag as well. It's all about those ping pong balls. LaMelo shut down for the Charlotte Hornets. Obviously, I don't think I have to ask this, but none of this is a surprise to you guys, right? Like, this is just what NBA teams do now. And
yeah, you're eliminated from postseason contention. Why are you going to play a young, star like Tyrese Maxey? No surprise at all. Kind of disappointment, obviously, right, when you look at their season as a whole. But I've always been in the camp of, players don't tank. And so if they're going to be on the court, they're going to be going 100% of the time. Tyrese Maxey, if he's playing on the court, he's going to be playing to win the game. That's just how it works. And I know this is more prevalent kind of in the NFL where there isn't a lottery, right? Where you're the worst team, you have the first pick, and teams really try to kind of structure their roster in a way where they can continuously lose games. But players don't tank. Maybe owners and management kind of put them in a position where it feels like teams are tanking. But I have no problem with it. I mean, if you're out of contention, just play the lineup you have, because those players aren't throwing the game. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter who they're throwing on the court; they're still playing. And I kind of personally, guys, like this part of the NBA season to see some of these guys step up that we have, haven't really seen much of with big minutes, and watch what they can do and be like, wow, this is a guy who might actually be useful for us next year. So by all means, the Sixers are eliminated from contention. The Hornets have been eliminated from contention since the start of this season. Just bench your stars and give other guys some run. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, there's really no reason that you shouldn't do it if you're one of these teams. Like you're saying, like there's no reason to not go run those guys out, get them. It's important reps, like real game reps against real, like top tier NBA talent. It's just another point for me that the season's too long in both these sports, in NHL and NBA. The seasons are too long. Like if it was 70 games, it'd be probably the perfect right about perfect amount where you don't have to get into this end of season area where some teams are they're just all over the map. We have some teams fighting for their literal playoff lives, and some teams who just would have rather had the season end in March. So it's just a weird like in between zone, but you do get to see like a lot of interesting things, and teams make decisions based on some of these things too. Like guys make their careers on some of these things. Like it's important, but you get to see how like Memphis right now is one of the most interesting stories in the NBA. And it's not because of
I got a lot about this.
And it's not even just the drama. They've been reeling on the floor too. The coaching change has not helped them. Like you have to look at the trends of how these teams look especially going into the playoffs, to have an idea and a picture of what to really expect. Like the Bucks are going to be maybe a 4 or 5, whatever, 6 seed. Does anybody feel good about? Do any of us feel good about the Bucks right now? The spot there, like it's great to get the vibe of how the teams are going in. Like you feel a lot more comfortable with these early round playoff matchups when depending on how these end of season things go, because they can spiral real quick. Like Memphis, a team we were talking about earlier in the year, like, I mean, they were up near the top of the standings. They're still up near the top of the standings, but like they were battling for the 2 seed all year long. And now it looks dire. We're a lot of questions about Memphis that we weren't talking about before. So it's just crazy times.
If you blinked, Jake, the Memphis Grizzlies currently, I mean, they're tied with 3 other teams and a half game back from the Warriors, but they're the 8th seed right now.
Yeah.
So they literally just fell down the standings. And I mean, we can get into the Grizz right now, because obviously since we recorded last, it's not breaking news to anyone, but the Grizzlies fired their head coach, Taylor Jenkins, just 10 games away from going into the playoffs, which they had a much more secure spot when they fired the coach, and now they find themselves probably playing in this play-in tournament just to get a spot in the playoffs. And as we know, Ja Morant tied to this, whether you like it or not, and whether it's being put out there as fact or not. But Ja Morant was sitting out of games. I think he missed 6 straight games. As soon as Taylor Jenkins was fired, he returned to the court. Just strange things happening. I don't think Taylor Jenkins, I don't know, maybe he didn't have all the control, and maybe there's frustration on his part. Maybe he wanted more control. Maybe Ja just straight up didn't like them and told the front office, hey, it's either him or me. We've seen that before in other sports. We've seen that before in the NBA. It happens. Players and coaches, don't have to get along. And sometimes when they don't, this is what we see. And I mean, just a puzzling move from the Memphis Grizzlies, but obviously we don't know all the facts. But there's just no way you can spin this where I can be convinced that this was the best move for the team to fire a coach right before the playoffs.
No, especially a team like Memphis, who at times, Dunny, was near the top of the Western Conference. Then no one was ever dethroning OKC, but they were flirting with like a 2-3 seed possibility. And that's basically if you get the 2 seed, and honestly, if you get the 3 seeds and you get lucky sometimes, you can have 2 home series in a row. So this was kind of a big deal for Memphis. And you're right, the timing of it is strange because you look at everything with the Memphis Grizzlies timeline is they finally were kind of healthy this year at the right time. They still have that kind of young core where they were the Thunder before the Thunder, and right before the postseason, they start, like Jake said, they start losing games. You don't really know what's happening. It doesn't look like they're even locked in, like on the court. And now you have the firing the coach right before the playoffs. This is just a bunch of red flags for the Grizzlies, a team that I personally liked at points in this season, that I thought was really talented. Not only that, that I thought was athletic enough and deep enough to run with a team like Oklahoma City if they really wanted to. So I look at this as this is just kind of doomsday scenario for the Grizzlies, and this we could see a situation which I couldn't even believe where they could fall to pretty much the 8th seed and play OKC round 1. And I said, I think I documented it about 2 months ago. I said Grizzlies are probably going to be one of the best matchups for the against the Thunder because the Grizzlies can match with the size, inside Edie and Jaren Jackson, that they have the athleticism, that they have shooters around the arc, which you need against OKC. And now it's like, okay, like they just might not mentally be there to have a series against OKC, and that could be a first-round series. But it also could be just a flip of a switch once the playoffs start, and next thing you know, is in a house series. OKC's in a house series against them. So this is really, really interesting because I think we all agree that, when fully healthy and when they're a full go, Memphis Grizzlies are a very dangerous team and a team with a lot of potential, and maybe we haven't seen the best Grizzlies yet. But right now, I mean, you can't trust this team at all.
Yeah. And can I paint you guys a picture? As it stands right now.
I love when you paint.
As it stands right now, the Memphis Grizzlies are the 8th seed. The Dallas Mavericks are the 9th seed. The Mavericks aren't surpassing them, but they would have to play each other in a play-in game right now. Am I crazy if we get the AD that we got last night? That I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Dallas Mavericks beat them in a play-in game.
No, not at all.
No.
And then if the Grizzlies lose a second one to a healthy Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, possibly if they get that 10 spot.
Well, the Kings have it currently, right? The Kings still have it?
The Kings have the 10 spot, yep.
Imagine if Phoenix misses the playoffs with this team.
That's a team that,
disaster.
Guys, a quick aside. Yeah, let's talk a disaster indeed, because I watched a good chunk of that Phoenix-Milwaukee game the other night, and it was the saddest basketball game I've watched in so long. Both those teams looked like finals rematch, and both those teams looked like they would have. All those players looked like they would have rather been anywhere else than on the teams that they were on. Like it was just.
Well, it was a finals
Phoenix
rematch.
Just looks.
And Booker and Giannis were like the only two guys. From that finals.
Only two guys out there. Only two guys doing anything. And but that just specifically Phoenix. I mean, we've talked a lot about Milwaukee this year, but Phoenix just like. They look like just a bunch of dudes out there. It doesn't look like a team. It looks like every time I watch them, it looks like 5 guys that just like showed up to the gym, like for a pickup run, and are just like kind of out there doing their thing. Well, it's wild. It's so and you would have thought Bud, we all were like, all right, like we're not Bud fans, but like this is gonna work, right? Like he's gonna help them, and nothing happened, and now they all hate him. Like, they fucking despise the dude.
Not only that, I know you're going to touch on this, Donnie, might as well. And then Kevin Durant's out. He's going to be out a week with left ankle sprain. And who knows how long that's going to linger. And even if they make, the play-in, that could linger into the play-in. And we're talking about Kevin Durant of a team. If this team, even if they make the play-in, I don't think he's coming back, but they missed the play. This guy's as good as gone. He is. I would be shocked, guys. I would be shocked if Kevin Durant's on the Phoenix Suns next year. I would pick him to retire before he's on the Suns next year. I would say there's a better chance he just straight up retires than he's on the Phoenix Suns again next year. But it's a whole nother thing. And it's like when you look at this team on paper, you look at the roster they have. It's like, how is this team? We're talking about this team can't even make the play-in. Crazy.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
It's some some silly stuff at the bottom of that Western Conference, and it's crazy that the Grizzlies find themselves in that mix now because, not because of that they made the firing of Taylor Jenkins, but just whatever the hell is going on there behind the scenes that we don't know about because it's not good. Their crunch time stuff is not good. Their fourth quarter stuff, Ja's fourth quarter stats are not good. I know we talked about that probably like a month ago at this point. But shit just looks ugly in Memphis. I don't agree with the move. I don't understand the move. Maybe we hear more before the season ends. Probably not. But now they have to go probably into a play-in game and fight for their life with a brand new coach and obviously some weird shit. I mean, Ja got threatened again with the gun celebration. Thankfully, the league didn't take any action, no suspension, but like he still just doesn't understand that he should probably,
Well,
try to clean it.
Buddy Hield
Read the room, John.
Yeah.
Buddy Hield did what's the word I'm looking for? Coerce him into it. He taunted him first, and Ja just couldn't help himself. He saw it. And he was like, "Oh, I have to do it back to him." And
yeah, they had a little gun battle on the court, but no action from the league. Speaking of action from the league, we'll get through these last bullet points here quick in the news. Pistons T-Wolves brawl and suspensions were handed out. Pistons Timberwolves. If you didn't see it, it was the most obvious suspects ever. I mean, Isaiah Stewart just can't fucking help himself.
I love him. I love him so much. He might just go to the UFC after basketball's all said and done.
I mean, maybe before the fucking playoffs, dude. This guy just loves to fight. It's quite literally insane, dude. He can't help himself. There was a Nas Reed. DiVincenzo was involved. I'm trying to pull up here who all the guys who were suspended. The funniest thing is when reports were coming out because I believe he's an assistant on the Timberwolves. But Pablo Prigioni was involved in this, and he got tossed from the league for those. Maybe if you aren't a Knicks fan or if you aren't a deep hoops head, you might not know Pablo Prigioni, but he was like a 38-year-old rookie once upon a time for the New York Knicks. So just funny, bizarre stuff happening in a Pistons Timberwolves brawl. But these Pistons, man, they like to fight, and Isaiah Stewart is always at the front of that line, fucking just doing crazy shit, and that's what happened the other night. So it's always nice when we get a brawl in the NBA, especially at the end of the season. Juices things up a little bit.
2 playoff teams, though. Right,
Yeah.
right. You usually don't see it with 2 teams that are not fighting for their lives, but fighting for seeds in the playoffs right now. So that was always interesting. You usually see it with the teams that are checked out. They're about 20 and 50 at this point, but 2 playoff teams.
Yeah, crazy. Isaiah Stewart got the worst of it. He got a 2-game suspension. Everyone else involved got a 1-game suspension. I mean, kind of par for the course there. I think everyone was expecting something along that. So yeah, brawls are happening in the NBA. Last thing here, Carmelo Anthony has been elected to the 2025 Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, just had to throw that in there, give Carmelo his flowers. I actually love this time of year for March Madness because there's always just clips and highlights and still images of Carmelo Anthony at Syracuse just being a beast. And
with the shorts down to his ankles.
Yeah.
That are about 5 sizes too big, and he was just an absolute bucket. Yeah. Didn't miss from anywhere out the court. Yeah, that vintage Melo right there.
I still never understood how guys did crossover or between the legs in that era. Like, how is the basketball not getting caught on the shorts?
Dude, it's insane how baggy those shorts were there, and they were just crossing guys over. I would have tripped over my feet about 100 times. They would have fell. First, the shorts, I don't know how they kept them up half the time. Would have just fallen my ankles and would have fallen my face.
They were all custom. They weren't like large shorts. They were skinny waist and just long.
Just giant baggy shorts. But I mean, that's what you remember Melo for, right? He's got the baggy shorts, the headband. He just didn't miss.
Baggy suit.
Yep.
The Denver days, obviously, just became king of New York once he became a Knick too. So. Shout out Carmelo Anthony, much deserved. I mean, obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer. Won the national champion because people forget it's the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not the NBA Hall of Fame. He won his hardware in college and then became one of the most elite scorers ever. So, shout out Carmelo Anthony. All right, you guys want to do some Final Four stuff here?
Let's do it.
All right, Florida Auburn is the first game. Then we have Duke Houston. 1 seeds across the board. Talent up and down on both rosters. Um, we've been Gator chomping from the beginning, boys. We did it when we created our bracket. I texted you guys and told you guys about my Florida Texas Tech experience. I was watching at a sports book. Texas Tech was obviously in command of that game for most of that game. Florida just Walter Clayton Jr. did not die. This is a guy who hits big shot after big shot. And they came back. Auburn, complete opposite. They fucking had their way on Sunday. Broom looked like he was done. Like, it looked like bad. Something happened with his elbow. He came back in the game, toughed it out, stud.
He hit the three. He hit the dagger 3 pretty much, comes back in. You're like, oh, he's just probably going to be a decoy there. And he just pulls up, hits the 3. Like,
and he was being a decoy for a little bit before that. Like, he was making one-handed passes, like, kind of only using one arm. And then he was just like, nah, I still got a stroke, though.
And dude, Janai Broom is so good. He's another one, too. Good. And, like, I don't want to turn this too much into draft talk because we'll talk about that later. But he's another guy, too. How could you look at that guy and be like, he's a late first round, early second? Like, there's no way there's 30 guys better than Janai Broom. I get the age or whatnot. I get everything. But there's no way you can find 30 guys in the draft class right now that are better than Janai Broom. I just refuse. Same with Walter Clayton, too. People have him, like, late first, early second. You can't find 30 guys better than these two.
I hope the narrative stays that way because if the Celtics can somehow land him late, that would be over the moon. But, like, I don't understand it. And I kind of have a take about that, but maybe we'll do it at the end of the Final Four discussion here. But Florida Auburn, as good as Broom is, as good as Auburn was on Sunday, which I was actually surprised by. I kind of had those feelings going into the tournament. Then the first couple of games, I was like, is Auburn that good? And here they are again. I mean, they had that historic resume going into the tournament. They kind of proved it again on Sunday. Where are you guys at with this game? I still like Florida. I just think they have the depth. I think their size is great. I think Walter Clayton Jr. has debatably been one of the best players in this tournament. And I'm riding with Florida here still. But what are you guys' expectations for this one?
I'm a ride with Florida, and I think they're the most battle-tested of the 4-1 seeds in here right now. And what I say that is I think they have by far the toughest road of the 4-1 seeds. They had to play the 2-time defending champs UConn, who threw everything they had at them. That was a game down to the wire. Florida won it, right? Then they play Maryland, and they kind of pulled away in the second half there. But Maryland was, that hot team, that one of the best starting fives in college basketball. They just came off the buzzer beater from Queen against Colorado State, so they were feeling pretty good, and they had to beat Maryland. And then they had that hell game against Texas Tech, Dunny, when they were down 10 with about 6 minutes to go, came back. Walter Clayton made some of the craziest shots I think I've ever seen, which – you watch that game, and in the final one he makes, where he's pretty much under the paint, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get blocked here," because that's kind of what Texas Tech was doing. They were blocking everything on the inside, and then just takes it out to the arc, hits the dagger 3 there. But I mean, they also had Howe, who was making shots too. Thomas Howe was been great. I mean, Martin was great. Like, this Florida team is so battle-tested, and they've shown they know how to win in these close games. Not only that, but the late-game runs, which they really need against Texas Tech, which they needed against UConn. Like I said, Maryland, they kind of pulled away in the second half. And Florida, too, had kind of been doing that in the SEC for at least the past 2 months, pretty much all of SEC play, where the game was close in the first half. And then that second half, Florida made their run. And I like this Auburn team a lot. I really do. I know Florida beat them in the head-to-head in the regular season. I'm trusting this Gators team. I feel like sometimes you just kind of have that winner's DNA built into you. And I feel like with Walter Clayton Jr., that he has that. And he's just made clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot. I love Janai Broom. I love Pettiford. Like, I like this Auburn team a lot too. And I think it's going to be a good game. But Florida has been so good against not just the, average SEC teams, all the elite SEC teams this year, Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, Alabama, where they're just in the game for the first 30 minutes and then the final 10 minutes. Florida, wins by about 10 to 15 points in that final 10-minute stretch and just either comes back or just pulls away. So I'm going to ride with Florida here. It's been my pick to win the championship for the past, 2-3 months, and nothing I've watched for the Florida Gators basketball the past 3 months has really changed my opinion on that.
Mm-hmm. Jake, you still Gator chomping, or where are you at?
That game, in my opinion, I really don't have any read on it. And I do love Florida. I love that Florida team, but I've loved the Auburn team all year long too. Like this specific matchup, I really like. I'm not gonna know what I think what I bet on it or do anything with it until Saturday, like leading up to it, and just kind of feel it out and go from there, because I think they match up. They match up really well together. They're really similar. They're just like these big, long, physical teams. They have great shot making. It's gonna be back and forth. It's gonna be a heavyweight fight. I don't see any scenario where this game isn't just like punch counter punch down the stretch. I guess I'm gonna stick with my original pick, and I'll go with Florida, because I had them in the Final Four, and I didn't have Auburn in the Final Four. But I would not be shocked if it's Auburn. The way they've been playing has just been so impressive in this tournament. And I'm with you, Steve, about Broome. I didn't realize it was a thing until you brought it up, and then I started like looking into it more and seeing all this stuff. And I don't get how that guy isn't a guy that can step in.
That's what I'm saying.
Day one on your team and like contribute some sort of role. And if
he's
that's
got great post moves, he can shoot. Yeah. He plays defense too. He plays
you're looking
size,
for that
size, strength.
Every team is looking for a guy built like him in his skill set. I don't understand how it's like, we don't really need that though. And yet somehow like 5 like guards that are like 6'1" will go in the first round.
And that's the thing. As someone who's watched college basketball all year long, right? Yeah. Besides just the 4 games of the tournament, he's been the best player in the country. Cooper Flagg has been right up there with him too. And you can argue, 1A, 1B with them in terms of who's been the best this year. Obviously, Flagg's the best prospect because of everything he can bring, his size, whatever. But if you watch Auburn this year, you watch Johni Broome, and you watch the teams he's gone up against and the matchups he's faced and everything. How can you tell me there are 30 guys better than Johni Broome? How can you tell me there are 30 prospects better than Johni Broome? If age is really that big of a concern, are you kidding me? Seriously, how can you tell me there are 30 players better than Johni Broome right now? Why? Just because he's played 5 years of college basketball? Is that really the thing? Because he's not a freshman who, is playing for 1 year and then going to the league like the projected first 14 picks? Is that the real reason? Because I'll tell you right now, I'm watching him, and there's no way you can convince me there are 30 prospects better than Johni Broome right now. I refuse to believe it.
And haven't we had this is something like outside of this year's draft, haven't we had enough guys in the NBA who did 4 years or 3 years at college, and it just so clearly helps them and makes such a big difference when they get to the league because they're already ready. So you talk about a guy who has Broome's talent and was probably the best basketball player in college basketball this year, like you said, Steve. And then on top of that, he has all the experience too and has been doing this. It's since when has that become a bad thing? And for some reason, teams just can't get over that. It's the same argument with Walter Clayton Jr. This guy's bounced around. He's battle tested. He's on one of the best teams in college basketball. He hits huge shots. And that's kind of what it's about, like confidence and then just the reps. And these are 2 guys who have both those things. So I don't understand it.
Clayton was the reason Iona was even on the map. Right. You want to give Patino credit, but you got to have a player who's carrying you in games.
Patino might have known what he was doing. He might have had an idea.
I mean, come on now. And it's also, too, and I say this all the time, but it's an eye test thing. You can't tell me that you watch these guys play and you're like they aren't worthy of being a first round pick for the NBA next year. Dunny, I'm right with you. I would be elated for Walter Clayton to fall in the draft. I think he's a steal. I don't.
Yeah, so that's Florida Auburn. I do want to, and we'll talk about it more after we talk about Duke Houston, because my last thing I want to bring up about the draft stuff actually has to do with Duke. Duke Houston, though, man, oh man, I think I for one was underestimating these Cougars because they are fucking good. They're fast. They're athletic. They play so damn hard. But we also saw Duke just dismantle Bama. And this Duke team's legit too, man. I mean, there's a reason all these teams were 1 seeds, right? Like it's maybe it's boring for some people, but it also makes it really difficult to try to break down and predict this Final Four because these are the best 4 teams all year, according to the bracket makers, and this is what we have. We have the fucking 4 1 seeds, and it should be elite basketball, but it's also like I don't know which way either of these games will go. I have opinions. I have feelings. I think the same thing, and it's maybe even more boring than the Final Four. But I think it's probably going to be Florida Duke. But Houston has me more worried than Auburn does.
Yeah. So Houston, I mean, we talked about it when we did our bracket preview show, right? This is like your typical Kelvin Sampson Houston Cougars team, except they don't miss open threes this year. They're the 4th best team from outside the arc this year, but you have a Houston team like that. That is scary. If you watch the Tennessee-Houston game, about 3 minutes in, you knew Houston was winning this game comfortably, no doubt. And it was because Tennessee they couldn't do anything against this defense. And that's the biggest reason, Dunny, why I think I like Houston. I love Houston plus 5.5. And I think they might actually upset some people by knocking Duke out of the Final Four this year. And I picked Duke in my bracket. I had Florida over Duke in the championship. I love this Duke team. I love Cooper Flagg. They got 3 lottery picks. Tyrese Proctor's incredible. But this Houston team, what they have that Duke doesn't is they have experience. Duke's 3 best players, right? Knappel, Malawak, and Cooper Flagg are all freshmen. They're all freshmen. And when you give a coach like Kelvin Sampson, who right now I think is the best coach in college basketball, current coach in college basketball, you can argue, Mark Huford, Gonzaga. You can argue Patino if you really want. I'm not gonna go there, but I think Kelvin Sampson is the best coach in college basketball. I truly do. I truly believe that. You can even argue Nate Oates at this point, what he's been doing. But what he does when gives time to prepare against the team is he just bullies you. He just has these players basically take your lunch money and take away everything you want to do. And I love this Duke team. But if you look at their road so far, right? You have the 16 seed, Mount St. Mary's. That didn't really matter who they played. Then they played a Baylor team. This Baylor team was kind of young like Duke was too. Not really a good defensive team. They scored with Duke for a little bit, but they couldn't really do anything, right? Then they play an Arizona team that's fun. Caleb Love is as fun as it gets sometimes. He can be a bucket, and he was that game, but not really kind of a physical, want to bully you Arizona team. And then you play Alabama. And I love Nate Oates. I love Alabama, but Alabama just refused to play defense this year. And it was just like, we're going to outscore you. And you saw the game before when Bama played BYU. That was the case because they hit 25 threes and they outscored BYU. And then it came back down to earth against Duke where they couldn't really make as many open shots, but they weren't doing anything against Duke. Duke was having their way the whole time. So those 4 teams, right? No one's really that great at defense. No one's really going to beat you in the trenches. Now you play a Houston team. You play a Houston team that wants to punch you in the mouth. A Houston team that was tested against Gonzaga, which what we said was criminal. They were an 8 seed that I think they were ranked 9th overall by KenPom. So by KenPom, they're a 2 or a 3 seed. And then you beat them, right? You bully Tennessee. You play a tough game against Purdue, but you show you know how to win. You're healthy now, right? Sharp's healthy. Roberts is healthy. You got Milos Uzon, who has stepped up as well. And then you got LJ Cryer, one of the best guards in the league. And you got a team that they might not have the size to compete with Duke. And I think some people are looking at that and picking that as a reason to pick Duke. But this is a team that has more will than any other team in college basketball. They will crash the offensive boards. You saw what they did against a Tennessee team that was bigger than them. They beat them to every offensive rebound, every loose ball. And then on the other end of the floor, they gave Tennessee no open shots, and they were hitting the first shot they saw. They would hit open threes. They were playing mid-range. This Houston team does everything it takes to win. And they've kind of won me over in this tournament because, I went coming in, I was like, oh, it's a Houston team, typical Calvin Sampson team, but except they're usually their Achilles heels. They can't shoot the three ball well. They're fourth best three-point shooting team in the country. And just watching them game after game after game, I'm like, if you built a team in the lab to compete with this Duke team or just make this Duke team uncomfortable, it's this Houston Cougars team. And I'm taking probably a senior-led Houston Cougars team, tough team, against the Duke team that's got so much talent. Most talent of any team in the tournament. They got the best player in the tournament in Cooper Flagg, but your three best players are freshmen. You haven't really been tested against a physical defense yet. And if we even want to go back months, they've been playing in the ACC the whole time. It's been cupcake special for Duke. Cupcake special. It really has. And I'm not saying they're not a good team. I picked them in my bracket to go to the championship. I'm just saying I don't think they're ready for the style of basketball that Houston's going to want to play. They're going to want to play prison ball. And I don't know if three freshmen can play prison ball. Yeah.
So this Houston team, you mentioned it, maybe they don't have the talent. Maybe that doesn't stack up. They are so fucking fast, man. I saw this on Twitter yesterday. They took the team out to the track. Their average mile time was 5:19. And the slowest on the team was 5:45 by a guy who's 6'9", 260. That was the slowest.
That's a Calvin Sampson Houston team right there, dude.
And that's just what Houston does. Like you mentioned, they, maybe they don't have the size, maybe they don't have the talent, but they have everything else. They have the athleticism, they have the fuck you factor. They will run on you. And that's how they want to play too. Like you mentioned, that's what Calvin Sampson wants to do with his teams. And they're showing it. They're here. They're in the Final Four.
That's the best part, right? Is like Houston is athletic and fast as they are. They play at one of the slowest paces in the country because they just want to play prison ball against you. And I love it.
They want to impose their will, but they're doing it at their pace.
Exactly.
And it's really cool. I mean, all that said, I still think I'm riding with Duke, but I mean, like I said, this is way more unpredictable to me than the Florida Auburn. Like if Florida smokes Auburn, I'm not all that surprised. I think if Duke smokes Houston, I'll be fairly surprised.
Yeah, I'm taking Houston with the points and hoping that this is just a game that comes down to like who's got the last possession.
Yeah, Jake, you're riding Cooper Flagg here.
I am, in my estimation here with this game, as much as I respect Houston, and I agree offensively, this is the best Houston team they've had. Of all the Houston, it's not same old Houston. The shot making, the 3-point shot making, as you're saying, but their shot making just in general, they have real options in that lineup to go get shots when they need to. That being said, when I just look at this game, as awesome as Houston's defense is, I just think Duke's offense is better than them. I think they can reach the higher peaks. I don't think Houston's only played an offense like Duke a couple times this year.
Gonzaga?
Gonzaga, yeah. I mean, Gonzaga is not the talent level of Duke's offense.
No.
And we're going earlier in the year, way earlier in the year when they're playing like Alabama and Auburn, but those are close losses in those games. And that's what I see with this game too, because Duke's defense is they haven't tested really. Obviously that schedule, as you were talking about, it's real, but Duke's defense has been smothering as well this year too.
True.
So Houston running into a Duke defense, that's more of a toss-up as much as anything else. I just like Duke's units in the matchup. I just think Duke is malleable. Like Duke, I think is good. Like last weekend with Bama, they're like, Bama wants to run with us and do all this going into that game. They're like, sure, we could do that. And I think coming into this game, they're like, if Houston wants to play slow and we have to be efficient and try to, run a good offense and make tough shots, I think Duke has the personnel to make tough shots in this game and make that happen. And Cooper Flagg's the biggest X factor. When it comes down to it, if it's a rock fight at the end, I'm going to bet on the team who has the guy who's going to be able to go get a bucket at the end, and that's him. So that's where I'm leaning Duke. But I'm going to pick Duke on whatever the points are. But I think it's because I'm of the mind of a bettor that if you're going to pick the team to win, just pick them to cover.
Sure.
But I think it's right around that. I think this game is close the whole way through, and it even could be close, and Duke either stretches it out and expands the lead later, or Duke is keeping it at like a 5, 6, 7, 8 point. Houston's getting some runs, but Duke is doing just enough and playing their game to keep them within arm's length and do enough to get a win. But I think Duke knows they're going into a war, and I think Duke's okay with that.
Are you worried at all that it's 3 freshmen, right? And they're starting 5? I mean, are you worried at all that they haven't really been in a game like this before, especially with like kind of magnitude of this game? Because that's kind of where I like to lean Houston. As I look at this Duke team and I go, we've seen this before with Duke, or where Houston or teams built like Houston kind of bully the fun younger teams, and that's where I kind of lean Houston.
I am wary of that, but a lot of those teams don't have Cooper Flag.
A fair point.
I think Coop is different. Like I've done a 180. Like you got like I fully admit I was wrong at the beginning of the year when I first started watching Cooper Flag. I'm like, I don't know. Like I see the skill set, don't see how it's this much. Now I understand. Now I see.
Yeah, he's incredible.
He's gotten better. He's gotten better as the year's gone on. And now he's like putting up LeBron numbers in the NCAA tournament, and it's insane. So I just think I'm just gonna ride with him throughout. That's why I picked them in the tournament to win, and so that's what I'm gonna do going forward. But if Houston does keep this game close and it comes down to a last possession and Houston hits a tough shot or has a smothering defensive possession and sneaks out and wins this game, I wouldn't be shocked. And I'm with you, Dunny. I would be way more shocked if Duke like wins this game by 20 all of a sudden and just runs Houston out of the gym. I can't see that happening.
Yeah, I think Duke, as far as them being ready for the moment too, like I think playing in Durham, North Carolina, like helps that too all year. Like that atmosphere. Yeah, I think they kind of always play in huge games. Well, not always, but you guys know what I mean. Like those home games.
It's just like, a pressure cooker there. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the atmosphere. Obviously, I think it's going to be larger here in San Antonio. Where if you're watching on YouTube, we have part of it behind us as our backdrop, and the court and the atmosphere for the Final Four looks fucking beautiful. So we should all just be excited about this weekend of hoops, which we are. My only take here. I'm going to use, we haven't talked about him, but he's a Duke freshman. He's one of the guys we talked about. Knuppel. All right. I was thinking about it the other night, and I don't want people to think that I'm saying he's a bad prospect because I think he's very good. He's a very good basketball player. He's shooting 40% from 3. He's really a natural-born scorer because I think people might think of him as just a shooter, but he's a very talented, just I'm going to create my own shot, or if the rest of the team's struggling, I can make my own shot. But I'm just puzzled because we talk about it. Walter Clayton Jr., a guy who I don't think is necessarily a better basketball player than Knuppel. Like, but if I had to take Knuppel at 7 or wherever he's projected, right? He's in the top 10.
He's right around 10. Yeah, right around like to 10 range. Yeah.
Okay, even let's say 10. Like if I had to take Knuppel at 10 or Walter Clayton Jr. at the turn, like that's the easiest pick in the world to me.
Yeah.
And like I know they're different players. I know they're different. Like I'm just using it as an example. Like this is a freshman who had the luxury of playing at Duke alongside Cooper Flag all year. And I'm not saying Walter Clayton Jr. didn't play with a great team as well. He did. But Walter Clayton Jr. is the guy at the end of games he's like, give me the rock. I'm hitting the big shots. I'm getting us back into this game, or I'm winning the game for me. Like that's just, and I'm just using Knuppel as an example. Like in no way am I saying he shouldn't be a lottery pick. I'm just saying that's how skewed the where Walter Clayton Jr. is ending up. And it's just one of the things where I'm still baffled by it. Like I don't understand how that's the case. But keep him there because I want the Celtics to draft this man.
Hey, if he hits a couple more big shots in the Final Four championship, I think we could see him actually finally start to rise up.
Yeah. And maybe there's a better name to use that's projected in the lottery because I do think Knuppel's a really good player.
What about the other Duke guy, Malava?
Yeah, well, I think he's really good.
I like him a lot. 7'2", he can. She's a beast. I like him a lot. No, but I'm it's kind of crazy, right? Where we're talking about this Duke team, they got 3 freshmen that could probably all go top 8
They
potentially.
might be lottery, all lottery guys. I
They're definitely. I think they're all definitely all going to go lottery.
It's
is really
scary. I mean, Shire, and that's the biggest thing too is that's the most interesting thing for me this weekend. What about John Shire? Like, what are we going to learn about him? Like, this is his first real
Right.
Duke, as we know it, has been in this position. Like, all of us are used to Duke being in the Final Four, but really this is the newest, freshest Duke in the Final Four ever because we're so used to Coach K. We know how he is in all these big games. We've never seen Shire in this situation. I think he's awesome. And I think he's ready for it. But like you said, Steve, a hungry, really one of if not the best coach in college basketball, Kelvin Sampson, a guy who's been doing this forever, who's just dying to break down that door, play, and it's a huge test for Shire to be able to, especially with that offense, whatever Houston's going to come at them defensively. I'm so interested to see how they come out.
Me too.
To guard them, like what they try to do, and just who they try to take away. It's going to be an interesting chess match in that game specifically. And I want to see how Shire responds because we haven't seen him in a lot of these big matchups. And like you said, the schedule's easy this year. He didn't really have to go X's and O's in a lot of these games. A lot of these games they're up by 30. They're winning by 25, 30 points, especially towards the end of the year. They're just cruising along. So we'll see.
Real quick before we move on, we all pulling for Gino, Paige, and UConn on the women's side?
Oh, yeah.
Are we pulling for South Carolina to do the, screw you, we should have been the number 1 overall seed?
I'm going with
get another ship. I'm going with Paige.
I'm
going with UConn now because
Saturday night as a UConn better, and I'm not turning my back now.
No. I mean, I think she needs the ship here. Finally, it's just going to be first overall pick. I just wish there's a scenario that Dallas is like, we need more than just one player. Let's just trade out, give the Sparks the number 1 pick, right? Then we got Kelsey, Paige, and Cameron. We're good. Sparks are good. Sparks season's back. But no, I'm pulling for UConn, Paige and Gino. They got a fun team too. Sarah Strong's really good. Ezzy Fudd, they have a really, really good team, and they're peaking at the right time. I think they beat South Carolina by almost 30 about a month and a half ago too.
It was a Sunday afternoon, and it was just a beat down of a game. I was all in on USC and Juju, so that once that was out, I was all in on UConn afterwards. So I'm with you there. I hope
tough for Juju. She'll bounce back though. I mean, it feels like every top collegiate women's basketball player seems to tear the ACL and then come back.
Weird. There's something it's a study being done. It's women athletes tear their ACLs at a rate that's way crazier than men do, and that I don't know what they can do about that, but it's something that's just going on. They all, it's kind of like Tommy John for them. They tear their ACL and then they come back and they're going. So
they're good. I mean, look at Paige. I think she's recovered. She's recovered from her injury pretty well.
Juju's gonna be fine. She'll probably take a couple more years there at SC. They'll be right back.
Yeah, take another year of eligibility, bounce back.
We could though, hypothetically, get the best combo of men's and women's championships we've had ever, maybe. If it's Duke, Auburn, Duke, Florida, really, I mean, the star power in those games, and then UConn, South Carolina women's. I mean, come on now. When's the last time? Right now, my buddy texted me. He goes, 7 of the 8 teams are 1 seeds in the Final Four this year. The only 2 seed is UConn, who's the favorite to win the women's championship. So I mean,
UConn the favorite and also the greatest dynasty.
Right.
In our life.
You talk about if you want to watch elite basketball, you don't complain about what this tournament has been because you're about to see elite. This is elite collegiate basketball.
Here's the thing.
We talked about that last week.
We talked about this with college football, right? Did I bring that up with you? That was right. We were talking about the college football playoff. Everybody gets so mad. All the argument all year long is we need the best team. We need the best team. And then college basketball, it's we need the 14th seed to be one of the best teams in college basketball. That is awesome.
You want that for the first weekend. That's fun for the first weekend. Nobody wants to see a 14 seed Lipscomb play Duke. Nobody wants that. Nobody would. This is what we wanted, and we talked about this on the March Madness preview, where we said there's a clear top tier of teams, and we named the 7 teams. I said there were top 7 teams that separated themselves. It was Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, Florida, Duke, Houston, and Michigan State. And guess what? 7 of those were the Elite 8, with the other one being Texas Tech, which you could literally argue Texas Tech is the 8th best team in the country with St. John's. And we talked about how much we loved Texas Tech. Like, we got the best teams. That's kind of what a tournament should be. You should prove yourselves. Yeah, there'll be upsets along the way, but these were the top 8 teams all year long, and they proved that. Yep. And on the women's side, kind of same thing. Outside of the injury to Juju and USC, right? You're looking at the teams left.
Been there if that didn't happen.
Right. So. You're looking at the teams, well, USC, UConn would have been an insane Elite 8 game with Juju there.
I was waiting for that one. That would have.
They gave UConn a fight without Juju too. They really did.
Bro, the line was what I don't know what the score
15. It was they won by 14. The line was 14 and a half.
The line was 14 and a half.
Yeah, and they won
so
by
were right
14.
on it. But I thought that was
like it got to like 7-8 at the start of the fourth quarter, and then UConn did what they always do in the fourth. They just made their shots and pulled away. Yeah.
Crazy. So last thought here for Final Four, just stop fucking putting this game on Monday night, man.
Oh, I mean, it's the same at 9:30.
It's the same as college football too, but like I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't. I really don't. Man. I think this was Jake who put this in here, but like why can't the Final Four be on Friday night and then we get the Natty on Sunday?
What? The women's Natty's Sunday at 3 p.m. What are we doing?
Yeah,
3 p.m. on a Sunday and 9 p.m. on a Monday for the championships. What are we doing? Like, how is that the optimal times? Sunday night baseball. You can miss a week. Sunday night baseball. I promise you. You got about 30 other weeks in the regular season to worry about. No one cares about Cubs Pirates at 7 p.m. on a Sunday night. Let us watch the championships.
Yeah,
could you imagine if it was
50 more games?
Could you imagine if it was like back to back, like 5:30, 6 p.m. the women's start, and then the men's is like 8 p.m. on Sunday night?
Oh, that'd be electric.
Beautiful.
That's how has this stuff been?
Why are these tournaments not just in the same place? Also,
that would be awesome too.
Why not just do the women's and men's one day? For who's not excited to have that, and then you have the Natty back, like you just said, back to back in the stadiums.
Could you imagine that you get tickets for that? Oh,
your stadium is filling up for that.
If that ever happens, we gotta go. We just gotta have the happy hour hoops crew go. If that ever happens, they put them in the same building.
The NCAA and Monday night at 9:00.
So stupid.
I never want to watch anything. That's Monday Night Raw for me, and Monday Night Raw watching for me is like me on my couch, paying attention on my phone and like looking up.
Yep.
Like, if I'm watching the Natty, like I'm trying to be locked in.
I know.
I don't understand.
I don't get why it's a Monday night. I don't know. We've been arguing this same point for years.
It's my biggest gripe, though. I'm hyped for it, but it's something I'll just still never.
You can't have the East Coast sleepy watching the national championship.
No.
East Coast always gets fucked for good games.
You guys
talked about the other day. Jokic. I was sound asleep. I was sleeping like a baby when Jokic put up 60, 10, and 10. Bullshit.
I feel like this year, especially too in the NBA, Dunny, that all the best moments of the NBA season, like 85% of them, have happened past like 9 p.m.
Oh, the West. Yeah. The West is so much better, bro. It's like,
but it's not even that. But something happens.
No, but I just mean the West is all the fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It just always feels like late night. Like either I watch it late at night or I wake up and go, "What just happened?"
Yeah.
Because at 7:00 we got to watch so many damn games with the fucking Raptors and the Nets and the
That's always me.
Wizards, 7 p.m. tip.
Yeah.
And even the Pelicans, the West team and the Eastern.
Right, that plays earlier.
There's some gross East time zone basketball being played. And Central time zone.
It's bad. Great segue though. Bad games, great segue. We're gonna end the show with this, guys, real quick. How many teams can actually win the NBA championship? Jake, since you were the only one who threw them in the dock here, I have mine in my head. Similar list, but give us your 6 here that you think can win the NBA championship.
In the East, it's pretty obvious. It's the Cavs and the Celtics. That's it. In the West is, for me, it's OKC. And then we're talking who can anybody beat OKC? I don't know, but I wasn't going to say no for this. So I thought of teams who could be in the right matchups can get to the finals. And I think it's the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Nuggets, because they have each three of the greatest players of all time who might be able to will a team that's not the greatest team around them, but a solid team around them to get to a finals against when they would be them likely facing or likely be in a very overmatched matchup against a Celtics or a Cavs team. I think that would be how that scenario goes. But more really, it's like 3, but I'll throw 6 in because I respect those LeBron, Luka, Steph, Jimmy, and Jokic that much.
Do you want to go, Donnie? You want me to go?
I'll go just because mine's so similar. Mine's that same list, just no Denver. It sucks. Like, yes, I could be absolutely wrong about this, and Jokic could just waltz his way to the championship, not caring at all about the road there or anything that's happening around him just playing basketball and stumbling into the NBA championship, because that just seems like how that would happen for the Nuggets. I just lately, and we talked about it right before we started recording, the last couple nights, Jokic had 60, 10, and 10. They lost to the Timberwolves in double overtime. Last night, no Jokic, but you lose to the fucking Spurs, man, who gave up on the season 2 months ago. Just weird. It's not weird, actually. They just don't have enough depth. I just don't think that this team has enough depth. And that's what it comes down to. I guess you could argue the same thing about the Lakers, but they have Luka and LeBron. So, and Luka is a guy who got his team to the finals last year. I mean, don't have to explain anything about LeBron James. And then I just think the supporting cast is coming together in a way for the Lakers, where the Nuggets, it looked better at the beginning of the year, and now I think the true colors are coming out a little bit. Warriors, I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised, with how well Jimmy Butler and Steph are playing together. I think we all got fooled on this a little bit because Jimmy was just certainly making it look like he didn't have all of this in the tank when he was trying to get out of Miami desperately, and he just looks 3 years younger on the Warriors than he did.
Draymond too lately.
Draymond looks great.
Bro,
you never hear me complimenting Draymond if I don't have to, but he looks awesome.
Those two together is why I have them on this list, because in the playoffs, Jimmy and Draymond, like, no matter what, even if they lose a series, it's gonna be hell. Any series you're in with the Warriors is gonna be miserable playing against those two guys.
The only people more afraid than their opponents are their teammates, right? But no, realistically, those are the teams. Like, Jake, you laid it out perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, Cleveland, Boston, OKC. If you don't have them in this, I don't know where you're at in your basketball life, but
there's probably plenty of people that don't have Cleveland in there. I'm sure.
I guess so. That's crazy, man. I mean, yeah. I don't know. They stopped trying in March when they were up 10 games on the 1 seed and clinched a playoff spot. So they're clearly not ready for the playoffs or a championship, bro. Yeah. It's Cleveland's good. OKC, Boston, those 3 teams. Steve, who you got though?
So I put mine in order. I kind of agree with your guys' teams. I have mine in order. Number 1, most likely I think to win is the Boston Celtics. They won last year. I think they still have one of the deepest rosters. I think they have one of the most talented starting fives. They've won, so they've done it before. And this is a Boston Celtics team, like I said, that they didn't need to win 65 games in the regular season this year. They know what it takes to win in the playoffs, and I just love the talent of them. And I don't think we've seen the best version of this Boston Celtics team this year. And that's kind of scary because I think their role players, their supporting players have gotten a lot better. But we really haven't seen Jaylen Brown, I think, at his peak. Tatum's just kind of been doing what Tatum has been doing, and he's just flies under the radar, never gets credit for it, but he puts up superstar numbers. And I really like this Celtics team. They're my number one. I also think, too, and this is no disrespect to the Cavs, but getting out of the East is going to be a lot easier than getting out of the West. Yes, if it's an Eastern Conference Finals of the Celtics and the Cavs, that'll be tough, but I don't think they'll have issues against either of their first two matchups. Whereas in the West, who knows what you're going to get? So I have to give the Celtics the edge there. Two for me is the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder, they're 15 games up right now in the West. They are unbelievable. Depth, athleticism. They have the star power. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's probably going to win MVP, even though it should probably be Jokic, but he'll win MVP. Jalen Williams is another superstar who probably isn't considered a superstar yet, but I will put that tag on him because he's unbelievable. They can shoot the three. They can do everything you need. I love this Thunder team. I'm putting the Cavs at 3. I just like the Celtics more than the Cavs come playoffs. But once again, it's another juggernaut out of the East. They have size. Evan Mobley has taken that step up this year that we expected him to or wanted him to. And they look like a completely different team when Mobley is going the way he's going right now. So Cavs are 3. No more East teams. I'm kind of like you guys here. I think it's just a 2-horse race in the East, and I'm just hoping we get that Cavs-Celtics Eastern Conference Finals. A, for this podcast, will be electric for those 2 weeks. But B, that's just going to be some great basketball. It's just going to be a great series. So that's the top 3. Number 4, I'm going with the Lakers. Call it bias if you want. It's Luka and LeBron, man. Like, I don't care. And yeah, they have a good cast around him. Austin Reeves has been great. But at the end of the day, it's Luka Doncic and LeBron James. Like, they'll find a way to win games, to win series. I have them at number 4. Number 5, I'm going with the Golden State Warriors. I think the Warriors team that won the championship over the Celtics was worse than the Warriors team right now. And that says a lot because Curry kind of willed them. You were muted there, Dunny. Whatever you said.
That's why I had him on the list. Same thought.
And Curry, he just scored 50 the other night. Like, he shows he can still take over games, will a team to win. You got Jimmy Butler, who, he's been playing great since he's been traded to Golden State, but he's not even to the level of playoff Jimmy Butler, what we've seen in past years. You get playoff Jimmy Butler and playoff Steph Curry. Who's beating that team in this series? I'm not really sure. I love the Warriors. I almost wanted to put them 4 over the Lakers, but I'll put them 5. And then I'm going with a 6 team here, and I'm not going with Denver. I'm going with the Los Angeles Clippers for 2 things. Number 1, Kawhi Leonard's healthy right now. Kawhi Leonard is healthy. He's been this stretch of his health has been longer than in a very long time. And number 2, similar to the Steph Curry logic, this team's better than the Raptors team. This team is better than the Raptors team that Kawhi kind of willed to a championship. And James Harden's playing some of his best basketball right now. Norman Powell has turned into an absolute bucket, and the Clippers have depth and they have size. Like, I just think if there's a short list of players in the playoffs I really trust to take over games, Kawhi Leonard has to be on that list, and not only take over games, on the offensive side, but take your best player out of the game on the defensive side. Like, he's actually playing basketball right now. He's healthy right now. They're kind of playing good at the right time. If they get the right matchup, I could see them just being kind of sneaky. And if this is a team that can take out one of those, top 2 or 3 teams in the West, like I said, with the Lakers, with OKC, with Golden State, who says they can't beat another one of them? So the Clippers are going to be my 6th team. I feel bad not putting the Rockets there. I just think they're a year ahead of schedule. They're young, they're fun, they're athletic, they score a lot. They're just inconsistent. I can't trust Jalen Green late game. I love Amen Thompson. I love Alperen Sengun, but he needs to be better defensively. I love Thompson, but I don't think he's the guy you want at the end of game to win it when it's on the line. So love the Rockets. I can't put them here right now, but I'll put the Clippers 6 because I would not be surprised if the Clippers give one of these top teams a series. And when a healthy Kawhi, you can beat anybody.
And yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Rockets because the way it's constructed right now, if the playoffs started today, Rockets Clippers,
give me Clippers
first round. I think I'd bet on the Clippers in that series. It is funny though. I'm glad you brought up Houston because I was gonna ask. They're only one of 4 teams who has 50 or more wins this season. It's Cleveland, Boston, OKC, and then Houston. So it is a little funny enough us pick them, especially with Ime. I mean, he made it to the finals with the C's. Obviously, a little difference in talent there between the two teams, but that's where it ultimately
maybe
down.
not though. Maybe not though with Amen Thompson. Maybe not.
I love Amen. I love
maybe Amen. Maybe
I'm with
Amen's
you though,
ready.
Steve. It just they don't have a fuck you, I'm gonna hit this shot guy. They just don't.
Well, if they have it one every 6 games with Jalen Green becomes that guy, right? Like
they have a fuck you, I'm gonna take this shot guy.
Yeah, no,
but
I'm
might
saying
not
like
go in.
Exactly. We'll have games where like, oh my God, Jalen Green's gonna score 40 a night, he's best player in the league, and then other times like, why is this guy on the floor? But that's the thing with Houston. And no disrespect to their team, and I think they're a fun team. I just don't think they have kind of that championship DNA that these other teams do. And as you know, Dunny, you saw it with your Celtics team with a young Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You got to lose before you can win. You got to learn how to lose in these big games, in these playoff series, before you know how to win. And I think that's kind of where we are with the Houston Rockets timeline.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right. We all had pretty similar lists there. I like Steve throwing in the Clippers. No real love for the T-Wolves. I mean, they've just had a weird season. I was much higher on them last year. They fell short last year, and I just think they're a worse team this year. I don't really think that you could come at me with too many arguments to persuade me differently on that. And
they do play Denver and OKC tough though. That's the one thing with the T-Wolves. If they match up well against both those teams, and if they have, if it breaks down, the bracket breaks down for them with a chance where they can play both, which right now I think the T-Wolves are the 6th seed, right? They would play the Lakers. If they were able to get to the 5, first round against Denver potentially, and then OKC in the second round. That's a situation where they match up well against both. Now, neither of those teams are easy outs. I'm not picking the T-Wolves to win both those series. I'm just saying that would kind of be more a favorable route for them.
The T-Wolves, they still got Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle on a playoff roster, and I've seen them play a lot of playoff basketball, those two guys. So until I see that, I'm not buying any T-Wolves stock. And the only reason I put pause in your Clippers stock is the other guy that I've seen play a lot of playoff basketball that's going to need to pull through for them. I know Kawhi's amazing. He looks good. He looks healthy. The other guy has never done it. He got close one time.
He did.
Got close one time. This is the best team he's had since then too. So, but I can never put my support behind that one. So, but I like it. I like it, and I like what I've seen from Kawhi. I really do, but it also scares me too.
I know. As soon as we fall back in love with Kawhi, you know what happens.
Exactly. We know what happens. I've tried not to talk about him on this show. Like specifically, I've not brought up if you guys notice, I don't bring up the Clippers at all.
Right.
Because I have had fun watching the Clips. So much fun watching them this year. They are my new Kings because the Kings are not fun anymore. They're sad. So my new late night darling has just been random Clippers games because it's usually nights that I'm up and they're on. And so it's been fun. The Harden experience has been fun all year. The Kawhi experience has been fun lately, getting healthy. But I like it, Steve, because it's like if you're gonna take a swing on a team and buy low on somebody, that's the team to do it with. Yeah. Because if they do just make the finals, everyone's gonna be like, well, of course, like we should have seen this coming. Yeah. Stephen A is going to be up there like, I knew Kawhi had this in him the whole time. He's going to be like that. He called it. So it's a good move.
And like I said, I think better team than his Toronto team. I like that Toronto team, but
we need a 4-5 Lakers Clippers though.
We don't.
Yes, we do.
No,
yes,
we don't. We don't.
What do you mean?
We don't need that. I don't want to see Bron up against Kawhi. I don't want to see. No.
I don't want that first dicing the Clippers up is what I
would like to see that. I would like to see that. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, LeBron would not do it. LeBron against Kawhi at this point would be. Yeah, I don't even know. For a full series. It wouldn't be good for Bron if that was the matchup. They wouldn't put Kawhi on Bron, though. They'd put him on Luka.
Probably, right? Maybe Austin Reeves at this point. I got one more question for you guys. I have one more question. when should we start putting Denny Avdia in the GOAT conversation?
Stop.
Like, is it too soon? Is it too 35, 15, and 10 the other night? Like, Jake, let's talk about his late night team. You guys know I love my Trailblazers. And will I be hopping on the Trailblazers next year? Absolutely, I will. They're looking fun. Sharp's looking great. Scoot's playing better. But really, the real question is when do we start talking about Denny Avdia as one of the GOATs?
I don't know, man. But
no
it
comment.
makes me sad talking about it because of fantasy basketball. But I can't believe the Wizards.
I've got Wemby. I've got
traded
my team is named after Wemby, and he's sitting on the bench hurt. And now Steve's claiming that Denny Avdia is one of the GOATs as he's up by me in an unsurmountable.
Denny Avdia has been it's averaging like 25, 10, and 6 the past month, dude. I'm like KD shooting splits. I'm like, what?
Yeah. He's awesome though.
I can't wait. But this is what we talked about at the beginning of the show, right? This is where you get a chance to see these guys and see if they can ball. And obviously he was balling on the Wizards last year before they traded him. But like now that he's like the go-to guy in Portland, and he's so much fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
Denny Avdia, 35, 15, and 10 the other night. My God.
It's absurd, man.
I had to shout him out. If we were going to do this episode this week and you didn't think I was going to name drop Denny Avdia, you don't know me. You don't know me.
I guess I should have seen it coming. Crazy the Wizards just traded him for Malcolm Brogdon and the 14th pick. He's so damn good.
He's so good.
Shout out Denny Avdia. Shout out Trainwreck Sports. It's been another episode of Happy Hour Hoops, guys. Those are our finals picks. Go watch the Final Four. We're still Gator chomping over here. I still got Florida, but we'll see. It's gonna be an electric Saturday night, and then fucking begrudgingly Monday, Natty. So we'll see. We'll see you guys next week. Later, guys.